Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy of Kain Defiance. I have been wanting to play this game after playing the Soul Reaver remasters, so when I learned about this remaster, I decided to wait for it. At the time, this was supposed to be followed by The Dark Prophecy, which would be the final game in the series and conclude the storyline. However, that game was cancelled. I know there's a new 2D game coming out, but that appears to be like a collection of Legacy of Kain's greatest hits and some original material, so it is not a proper entry in this series. So for all intents and purposes, this is the final Legacy of Kain game and the conclusion to the story. So let's join Kain and Raziel on their journey one final time on the PS2 in Nosgoth. Yep, let's make sure subtitles are enabled. We have the new remastered camera, which they fixed, thankfully. And you can obviously shift between the two graphical styles whenever you want. Spectral Distortion 10. I might actually turn that down because I was watching a playthrough of it and the spectral is as blurry as I remember it, so I might turn that down. And you can choose between remastered lighting or classic lighting, so that's nice. You have options. We're gonna leave the volume for now, as is. Here we go.
Given the choice, whether to rule a corrupt and failing empire, or to challenge the fates for another throw, a better throw against one's destiny. What was a king to do?
I always thought this was so epic, this entry, rehashing the cinematics of the first game and the second game, and Raziel's classic music. For some reason, a playthrough I was watching for somebody play this game had this section replaced with the Defiance theme. I don't know if it's only on the PC version or what, but it's nice to hear Raziel's main theme again. It just hits so differently than any other musical theme, in my opinion.
But does one ever truly have a choice? One can only match, move by move, the machinations of fate, and thus defy the tyrannous stars.
Legacy of Kain Defiance Remastered for a new generation. That was an abrupt switch right there. So that's a new moon that they added. Originally they had Earth's moon in there, which made no sense, so they cut that out. Actually, I think Earth's moon was in Blood Omen 2, and then they added this one to look different, since Nosgoth is supposed to be another planet.
And so I returned to the sanctuary of my enemy, the fortress of the Sarafan Brotherhood, deemed impossible for any man to penetrate. Impossible for any man. Deep within these walls my prey awaited. Mobius, the time streamer, deceiver and eternal gamester, using living beings as his pawns.
In the end, we'd rooted out an entire nest of the fiends.
But we had swept that area already.
Not well enough, but no matter. We purged every last one of that brood with fire, and their souls now rest.
Lord Mobius will be pleased.
It was time for Mobius to answer a few questions. I hoped for his sake to find him in forthcoming mood.
Mobius, we know who that guy is. Alright, let's take a look at what we're working with. Oh boy, Kain, what have they done to you? No, I'm kidding. He looks okay, but I prefer the older look. You can switch between the two right here. Yeah, after watching somebody else play it, I prefer the older look. Even though Kain looks kind of beefy in here, as far as the chest area, but his face I think has slightly better details than the regular version. The regular version looks a bit angry. Looks like they increased his hair in the new version. You can see also the blood meter is different in the old one. It has the TK meter to the left side. This one has it underneath. Oh yeah, that's a good look at it. Let's see. So it looked okay. It still looks okay even now, with the graphics in the old PS2 version. They made him a lot slimmer in this one. So he looks okay, but in terms of his facial features, I slightly prefer the PS2 more. Yeah, those eyes are a bit they're a bit big over here, kind of glowing. I do know they've replaced some of the musical sections with different music, so that's gonna be an adjustment. You're gonna hear music from the first Soul Reaver where there was none before, or where there was music from Defiance. Raziel's theme has been shifted around in some of the battles, so there are some changes here. Blood hunger causes health gauge to drain slowly over time. We know, we're a vampire. Here you go, give me that blood. Yeah, this one looks like he's scowling permanently. Whereas the other ones, I felt had a bit more detail, but more like a bit more facial expression. Yeah, some of the characters here, some of them look better in their old version, and some of them look new, and they look better in their newer version. Raziel looks a lot better in his new version, that's for sure. Kain is kind of a mixed bag. Mobius looks way better here than he did in Soul Reaver 2 Remastered. They made him a bit too young and healthy looking there when he's supposed to be like 5,000 years old, so it's a mixed bag. I was looking to see if you could select original score like they do in some of these remakes, you know, to put the old music there, but it doesn't look like it's an option. Volume looks to be a little low. I might have to dial it up depending on how the recording turns out. I've always liked Kain's little clan banner that he has on his shoulder right there. It's a neat little detail. Also, his ponytail's bigger in this one. You notice it was small in the original graphics. Here it's a lot larger. The good thing about these games by Aspyr is if you want to just play in the old graphics, just only in HD quality, you can. It's the same for Tomb Raider, it's the same for Soul Reaver. It's probably the same for other games they've made too, so that's always a good aspect of it. The fact that you can choose which version you want to play. You're not stuck playing just the remake or the just the remaster or the original. You can choose. So they've implemented some of Kain's abilities from Blood Omen here as automatic ones, like phasing through the gate with mist form. You no longer have to activate it like you did in Blood Omen or Blood Omen 2.
Help me! Help me! Oh, please, no.
From time to time, it is necessary to feed. And the unusual event of a feast prepared by the Sarafan must be savored.
Yeah, so Kain's not really a monster at this point. He's grown beyond that, but still, like, lady, you're gonna die here probably in a few days, since there's no one to get you out, so. There we go. We'll use your blood for our purposes. At least it'll be used to help save the world. That's better than just dying there from hunger. Oh, look at this guy. This guy's been here a while. He looked out chunkier in the original. Now he really looks emaciated. Holy shit. I wonder what he did, like, because the Seraphim are religious crusaders, so I wonder if they also persecute humans in addition to vampires. Remember what Kain said in Soul Reaver 1 and 2, their agenda was the same as ours, so I'm guessing the Seraphim also wanted to rule Nosgoth. It wasn't just about, oh, let's get rid of all the vampires. That was their holy cause, but no, they also did want to rule the land as well. That's why they worked for Mobius, since he was a pillar guardian. He could control large swaths of the land. There you go, at least they're no longer Seraphim prisoners. So right away, a lot of people noticed that they've kind of nerfed Kain's ability. Obviously, they did that to make a more challenging game. I do wish he had some of his projectile blasts, like the lightning, the bolts, and stuff like that, like from Soul Reaver and Blood Omen. But what are you gonna do? Obviously, we don't really need the blood right now, but like I said, it's the only way to free these prisoners. So I first played this game after playing Blood Omen 2 many years ago when it first released. Obviously that game introduced the Hilden, so hearing about this game afterwards, it made me really eager and excited to see how the storyline would continue and how it would conclude potentially, because they made it seem like it would be a final game in the series. Obviously it wasn't supposed to be. It turns out that they had actually planned the Dark Prophecy afterwards, and I assumed that was to be the final game, because once Kain uncovers the true source of the conspiracy here and his true enemy, obviously he has to go confront them. And that game he would have also confronted the Hilden more, so there we go. We got I forgot what those do. Oh, those increase your health. Unfortunately, the Dark Prophecy was never made, so that's kind of sad, but you never know. Once Crystal Dynamic finishes up with Tomb Raider with the next two, maybe they can give it a go, because we pretty much know the outline of how that game is supposed to go and what locations Kain is supposed to visit, who he's supposed to fight, the enemies, stuff like that. We pretty much know all that already, so it wouldn't be that hard to piece it together if you could kind of just reunite some of the old team and just you know, get Amy Hennig back, get her to write the story, and then maybe collaborate with her new studio after they're done with the Black Panther and Captain America game. You never know. It shouldn't be that hard, because again, it's not like you have to start from scratch. You pretty much know what has to be done in terms of that game to fully conclude the story. So it's just a matter of getting the right pieces together and getting a proper budget, because a game like that is going to need a pretty substantial budget. Maybe not super huge, but you're going to need a mainstream AAA budget.
What
I always like this move. There you go, look at that. Rid of that scumbag. I always like how you can pull the enemies
The touch of water is like acid to a vampire. I had to find another way to pass.
Hold L2 to navigate towards your objective with foresight. Okay, so that's new in this game. We didn't have this before. That gives you a hint on where to go in case you're lost. Because even though this game is pretty linear in most spots, it is easy to get lost in some of the tempo rooms you'll see later on, because they all look the same. I believe we also have a map too, but they haven't shown us the button for that yet. I was saying I always like the that little move there when you pull them down and onto the spikes. Damn, Kain has some big feet. Look at that. Look at those big claws. His outfit is cool as hell too. That leather outfit with the gauntlet and those bracers around his ankles. I always thought that looks super cool. There is a scar from where you got stabbed in Blood Omen. The scar is kind of a weird thing. Like, it started on his side in Soul Reaver, like you see here. Then for Soul Reaver 2, he kept it there at the side. For I don't think Blood Omen 2 even had it, because that graphical style for that game was kind of a downgrade. So you didn't even have the little details there. Then they moved it to the center of his chest, which made more sense, and now they moved it back over here, so it just shifts around all around his body and his torso through each and every game. So that's interesting because you would have expected an elder Kain an elder vampire like Kain would no longer be affected by water, but apparently that's not the case. It won't kill him, but it will disable him. Force him back into bat mode so he can reassemble. That leads me to believe that it leads me to believe that Rahab's evolution in Soul Reaper 1 was forced. It wasn't natural or unnatural, like he kind of found ways to adapt his own body to it, and then that gift was passed along to his lieutenants, making him pretty much the only vampire that is not affected by water. Press X to kick jump off a climbable wall. Raziel's not affected too, obviously, since he consumed Rahab's soul, but he's a wraith, so... Now you can see here one difference between the classic graphics and the new ones is in the new graphics, it's a lot more difficult to see sometimes where you're supposed to climb. They made him kind of like worn out walls like this. In the original it was a lot more obvious where you're supposed to climb. You see that same type of layered texture from Soul Reaper 1 is also present here. So this is the gist of this game is combat. You only have one weapon as Kain, the Soul Reaper, and as Raziel you have the Wraith Blade. You cannot pick up any other weapons like you do in Soul Reaper 1 and 2 or Blood Omen 1 and 2. That was to streamline the combat, but it's also important in terms of story wise, because Kain is now keeping Kain is keeping the physical Reaper Blade securely close to him, while Raziel is using more of the Wraith Blade. That increases our TK energy levels that we have stored. It lets us do more with telekinesis. So you notice the Seraphim here are wearing different outfits than in Soul Reaper 2. I always took that to mean that maybe these are their mourning outfits, like maybe since they're in mourning for all the lieutenants and their leader that were killed in the last game, that's why they're wearing these outfits. And that's why you see them outside, because they resemble their classic Blood Omen 1 incarnations more over here, the way they were presented in the cinematics there. And Soul Reaper 2 had like completely different outfits for them, and then they went back to these, so they never explain it away in the series. It's one of those things that never gets explained in the game, but I always assumed in my mind that they were basically wearing special outfits mourning their falling lieutenants, all 6 of them, Raziel and his 5 brothers, and then the loss of Malak too, who kind of gets screwed by Mobius and Mortanius after this through no reason of his own. So I assume in mourning for their 7 fallen leaders, looks like he's grasping for something. Yeah, I always assumed they changed outfits to mourn for their fallen leaders. And then the ones they were wearing in Soul Reaper 2, the red and gold outfits, would be generally their combat outfits, similar to what their lieutenants wore. Rahab, Dumas, Zephon, etc.
This passage undoubtedly led to the time streamer. My prey was nearly in my grasp. But the door had been sealed by a blessed barrier. As I approached, the Reaver resonated in response. Perhaps its dark sorcery could dispel these holy barriers. As I suspected, the Reaver was not yet powerful enough to shatter these barriers, but there was something to this.
One thing I like about these remastered games is the fact that you can play, you can play old style games like this from the PS2 days on a modern console and not have it look, all janky, because previous generation graphics do not hold up well on modern consoles most of the time, simply because of the HD TV different standards that televisions have nowadays. They look great on CRTs, but not so much on HD TVs. So I find that game remasters like this are almost like a necessary evil, because you need to present these games in a way that doesn't look like crap on your TV, so that newer generations, younger generations can enjoy them, From that perspective, it makes all the more sense to bring them back. At the same time, you can also fix little flaws here and there that were present in the original, or glitches that went unacknowledged before. So like people like to complain there's too many remasters and remakes, but I find that depending on the series, if it's one that's been absent for a long amount of time from modern consoles, I find a good quality remaster is a pretty decent it's a pretty decent I was going to say initiative, but it's pretty decent incentive to for younger generations to enjoy these games, and even for older fans to go back and replay them. You'll notice also here the Reaver before looked very metallic, very silvery. Now they actually changed it to match the Reaver in Soul Reaver 2, which looks more like not quite golden, but more like an amber hue to its blade tone. It doesn't really look silvery, so that's a nice little adjustment there for continuity. There's Kain's earring. That's look at that. That's the one given to him by Vorador, all the way back in Blood Omen 1 to summon him for that battle. And Kain kept it as a reminder of Vorador's wise words to him ever since about them being, dark gods. Funny thing, he could probably use that ring to summon Vorador now, but I think that was probably supposed to play a role also in how he brought him back after he'd recovered his head. But again, that little detail never got explained away because they never made the next game. Unfortunately, it was supposed to happen in this game. They had to cut it out. They were going to put it in Dark Prophecy, probably, and it ended up just never happening. So, too bad on that front, but there we go. We have a local map. Oh, and that keeps track of your XP points. Nice. This is all new. None of this was here before. It even gives you the objectives, I guess. Yeah, hunt Mobius down within the stronghold. Enhance Reaver to destroy barriers. So they're pretty new user friendly because a lot of modern gamers like to be held by the hand. They don't like to be left clueless about what to do. So this is a nice little bit of hand holding that's not too intrusive. You can still skip over if you know the game fairly well, which I do.
Balance emblem.
Oh, they kept those too, the item descriptions. Locked item, these are artifacts that we have to gather. Collectibles. There's the tree you can get. Arcane tones is basically concept art and stuff from the behind the scenes stuff of the game. Health talismans right there. You notice the little spiral, and you also notice the eyes. That's actually rather significant. The spirals represent the wheel of fate, and the eyes represent someone who we'll see much later on. Kain skins and Raziel skins. Yeah, we're gonna get more collectible skins in this. And look at this, the history of Nosgoth. The world of Nosgoth characters, locations, inhabitants. Murals, that's a good one. Timeline. Oh, I thought it froze for a moment. Okay, so these are actually like the summaries that they gave in look at that with new art. They gave these summaries in Soul Reaver 2 in the special features menu, and also in like the manuals for Soul Reaver 1 and 2. So these are a nice little bit of a lore here. Look at that. Look at all the concept art from Blood Omen 1. Look at for William from Soul Reaver 2. Yeah, but this is when he damned the pillars. Oh, this is pretty cool. The world of Nosgoth. Let's see. Kain's legacy, the elder races, an aeon of decline. Yeah, the world's been declining for literally thousands of years at this point, ever since the ancients and their enemies screwed up. The hero of prophecy. Let's see Kain's legacy. Okay, so yeah, this is explaining about the pillars. I'm not gonna read all that stuff. You can read it. You can pause and read it. The collapse of the pillars. Yep, the pillars turned Kain's empire into a wasteland. So this is all pretty cool. We're gonna see a lot more of the skins later on. Look at the elder races, the ancient vampires, the Hilden. Look at that. An almost angelic species. These ancient vampires, no, capital V for the originals, little for their ancestors, so little for the descendants. So it's important to know, like, the vampires here are, vampire was the name of their race, that's what they call themselves, and then the little V vampires are their descendants, you know. So like they were Nosgoth's first vampires because vampires is the name of their race, that's who they are, and then the little V vampires are basically their descendants. Culturally, they were individualistic and more loosely organized than their rivals. That's interesting because if you see Janos, he's pretty much left alone by the time of Soul Reaver 2. He's living on his own, away from humanity, away from even other vampires. That definitely speaks truly to his characterization in that game and his personality. It also explains also why he survived while some of the other Guardians didn't. He had a stronger mindset. This is also very important. They worship light and venerated a universal energy from which they derived the elemental magic they employed. That answers one question about what we'll be doing with the Reaver at the end of the game and what that energy is supposed to actually do. Alright, we got the Hilden. Like the vampires before either of those terms had the demonic or blood-sucking connotations they currently have, and before the mutual curses altered their appearances, were once preternaturally beautiful beings. They could be physically distinguished by the bony crest about their heads, their vestigial bat-like wings, and their distinctive stilt-like feet. So could they fly with the wings or not? I'm guessing no, because it says vestigial. Unlike the vampires, however, the Hilden were purveyors of a technological type of magic, the crux of both races' ideological differences. Yeah, they were born into a technology. They used organic life with less regard, considering all lower life forms little more than tools and materials to be shaped to their ends. Relatively unified in their agendas and beliefs, they operated in a more hive-like fashion than their factional rivals, so they really looked down on creatures that were lesser than them. The Great Wars, the divergent philosophies of the vampires and the Hilden fell into direct opposition, and ultimately these differences in method and intention tore them apart. Similarly matched in power, they turned their respective magical arts against one another. A series of great wars flamed between the elder races for 1,000 years, and would come to destroy both races, victor and vanquished alike. The conflict between them was of almost apocalyptic proportions. As the onslaught escalated, the Hilden near completion of their ultimate weapon, the device with which they would threaten to loose destruction upon the land and prevail against the vampires. Only one component was necessary for them to complete the device: a vampire whose blood and life energy would power the machine. Alright, so nice. That's a nice little way to incorporate Blood Omen 2. We'll read more of these later on because we have a lot. We have the Binding, Circle of Nine, the Blood Curse, the 10th Guardian. So yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot of those. We'll read them later on. Okay, let's get back to the game. There's our first piece of collectible there. The Arcane Tome. Yeah, we'll read more of those later on in the next video. So the Hilden weren't quite the angelic race they portrayed themselves to be, you know. The vampires looked like angels and the Hilden were supposed to be their demonic enemy. They weren't as bad as that, but they also weren't saints like they pretend to be. You know, the Seraphan Lord in Blood Omen 2 calls them a once fair race, but they were actually doing their side of shady shit too. They weren't completely innocent in this. They were both doing some scummy tactics. This is Malik's statue. We cannot do anything with it just yet. We're gonna have to retrieve two of those items later on. His sword and shield. There he is right there, the man himself. Even though right now at this time period he's not a man anymore. He's basically a spirit in a set of armor. We can't open that just yet. Oh, this guy looks pretty decent. Actually, it looks a bit slightly worse over here. I don't know if it's the texturing, maybe. Yeah, it looks a bit 2D over here compared to this one, which kind of is par for the course, because that's exactly the same way Soul Reaver 2 was. Some parts look great, other parts did not. Okay, so where did we come from? Did we come from over here? Okay, yeah, so we're supposed to go over here. Now, one thing people miss from this, because it's not made readily apparent, you see how you crumble these guys over here? You can break them, but also, here's the thing. Let me see if maybe you don't have that ability just yet. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. There you go. We can actually pull them aside and drain their blood, and that also prevents them from respawning too. Damn. Really? Trying to stun lock me. Let's deal with this guy first. God damn. Really? Get some blood for the Reaver. I like this blood sucking motion a lot more than the one in Blood Omen 2. The one in Blood Omen 2 is too lengthy, and for some reason the enemies have different amounts of blood, so you can only get a small amount of blood from the weaker enemies and large amounts of blood from the demons and the Hilden, and that makes no sense lore wise. It's also pretty tedious because I think it takes like 10 seconds to drink all the blood from the Hilden and some of the greater demons, which is or the lesser demons at least, which is kind of tedious doing the same motion over and over again, and you can't move at any point. Checkpoint activated. So I've always noted that this place looks very different than it does originally in the Stronghold. People wonder why that is.
Locked. What a love of doors these pathetic humans have.
So does that mean the vampire dwellings didn't have that many doors? What, did they have curtains or stuff like that? So anyway, like I was saying, people wonder why does it all look so different? My theory is that Kain is basically in another part of the Stronghold. Remember the Stronghold from Soul Reaver 2? That is a gigantic building. It has lots of layers and lots of locked doors that we never explore at all. Raziel never goes into some of those doors ever. So I'm guessing Kain, even though he's infiltrated the Stronghold, you can see there, like that bridge we passed by and that sewer area, none of that was in the original. So my opinion is that Kain is basically on the other side of the Stronghold, the one we didn't see as Raziel, and they basically have the duplicate rooms of everything because it's a fashion style of their architecture that they pretty much obviously like. So my guess is, like I said, the inconsistencies are explained away because he's in a completely different part of the Stronghold. He's not in the area Raziel explored. He's on the other side of the building, which looks completely different in some ways and looks very similar in other ways. Like that chapel right there. That one looks to be similar to the one where the tomb for William is going to be in the future. And also where you found like the stained glass window for Janos and things like that. But it is not that actual room. It is just one that looks very similar to it. At least that's the way I explain it. See, even though it looks similar to like the chapel where you find Janos, it's not. This just has the balance emblem in it, and obviously there's no stained glass mural over there. At least not one with Janos on it. Obviously it wouldn't have been made yet, but yeah, I just think he's in a completely different part of the fortress, the one that Raziel never explored, because since he didn't go into certain doors, he never saw any of this. Because as I understand it, the compact nature was probably just to save disk space on the PS2 game disc. You know, they couldn't really make the environments as massive as they did in Soul Reaver 2. But the actual aesthetic, the reason why it looks so different, in my opinion, is probably just because, like I say, Kain is just in a different part of the fortress, the other half that Raziel never saw. It just happens that it has some rooms that look the same, like the Ouroboros room. Here we go. Let's lift him onto the spike. Must allow TK meter to recharge. Let's grab this guy. Once they lose a lot of blood, that's when you know they're done for. That was also something new, introducing him biting them. That's just to make him more like a traditional vampire, because that was never in the other games. In Blood Omen 1 and 2, he strictly drew the blood using telekinesis. Whereas here he can actually bite them too. That's just to make him more like a regular vampire. You know, closer to the lore in our real world.
This emblem was unmistakably of vampire origin and designed to enhance the Reaver's power. But this coincidence seemed too convenient. Mobius clearly meant for me to find it.
Sound the alarm! Vampire! Don't let him
This
escape!
is a cool little cutscene.
Surround him! Surrender, fiend, and we will promise you an easy death.
I could promise you the same, but it would be a lie.
View ring menu for current goals and artifacts. Destroy the blessed barriers. So you cannot change your aiming in this game. You auto aim, which can be a problem for sure. It can definitely be a problem. Just wait a moment here, guys, while I eat up on that guy. I like how they wait for you to drink their blood before attacking you. Look at that, he's not even finished falling before you can drain him.
Ve Victus!
Ve Victus, that classic line. So you hold and release square to cast a Reaver spell. Those become important later on.
This barrier had a curious resonating effect on the Reaver.
For a guy who hates vampires that much, Mobius sure has a lot of their items in his custody on hand. I guess he makes use of them, even though he disapproves of the vampires. He still makes use of their magic and some of the items and artifacts they left behind, whatever suits his purposes. Because you know damn well he didn't build that freaking time streaming chamber. That was probably his predecessor, whoever it was. He just took advantage of it. There you go. Let's pull this guy. God damn it. Come on, Kain. Damn, these arrows are annoying. See if we can hit it with Reaver spell. There you go. Now he's finished. But not before he gives us lunch. Yeah, that should prevent them from respawning if you take them out, because if you just destroy the arrow mechanism there, even though it makes no sense, they're just gonna come back. Maybe they just get replaced by other guards who hide in there, but it's better to just kill them outright. That blade is good. It can pierce through all sorts of armor. You can see that even though they were way back in the past, the vampires forging capabilities were much better than the humans. That blade they created is basically indestructible compared to the puny weapons that humans make, where the swords can just break after 1 or 2 uses sometimes. Yeah, see, you have the Ouroboros room here, but like I said, I don't believe this is the exact same Ouroboros room that Raziel was in. I believe this is a completely different one. It just happens to look the same, you know, since they enjoy that same type of architecture and motif. Oh, there's Ariel's Lament playing. Or is that the Defiance theme? But yeah, like I said, I think it's just a different part of the stronghold. So they just happen to have Ouroboros segments in different parts of the fortress. Apparently there were plans to have Raziel start here before they changed the layout. So I'm guessing if they had done that, it would have looked a lot more like the fortress in Soul Reaver 2.
This door had been equipped with a singular lock, requiring an unusual key. Somehow, I would find it.
That's a big ass emblem you gotta insert. I always wonder if it actually does look like that in the story universe, or is it just a small little emblem that he could just put in there. And what happens to items when they pick them up? Like, is he just holding on to them for safekeeping, or does he transport them somewhere to some other dimension? Like, are they just in the ether? Whenever you pick up an item, it's just mysteriously somewhere and you can call it back to you. Toss this guy out. Toss this guy out. Toss this guy over here, so we can eat him. Come here. Your blood also doesn't go down as quickly as it does in Blood Omen 2, which is always a good thing. That's a plus, because that was hella annoying in Blood Omen 2. The fact that you literally needed to drink blood like every few seconds to keep up your health, otherwise it would just go way down very fast. And someone noted it many years before that, again, even though it could be explained away as Kain being a younger vampire who's just awoken from a coma and his body's not processing the blood properly, it's still hell annoying to pretty much have to drink from almost every single NPC you come across, even some of the innocent ones. Because like, why would I want to kill them? They're not bothering me. They're just regular ordinary day civilians going about their lives, pretty much. Like the Seraphim and the criminals are the enemies in that game, and the demons, and then the Hilden. But now they pretty much expect you to drink from almost everyone to increase your health meter, in addition to picking up the lore. You know, those lore crates you find around the world. Notice the banner has the eye inscribed on it. You see right there? We can look at this one. You see that giant eye? That's important to the storyline, because it is definitely an emblem that's is very central to one particular character. And so anyone who has that eye as part of their banner, you know who they're serving. Now this is important because a lot of people probably skip this. A couple playthroughs I watched skipped it, not realizing this is supposed to teach you some of the different moves. These training dummies are not just here, you know, for voluntary training. Now they're here to teach you certain moves about how to play the game. The game is only as difficult as you make it out to be, pretty much. There are some challenging aspects later on, but a lot of the problems from the combat, I think, come from people not fully doing this sequence right here. See, press or hold L1 to manually enter combat mode. So that's one big issue. The auto aiming, that's one big issue people have with this game. Besides the camera in the original. See, there you go. It lights up every time you complete a challenge. This is teaching you how to play the game, and a lot of people just skip it over, I've noticed. They think it's all voluntary, and then they're wondering how to do certain spells or certain moves or stuff like that. It's because they never played that little tutorial here. This is teaching you how to play the game. I don't need to do it, but if you're new to this, you're definitely advised to actually pay attention and make use of these dummies to get some training. See, there you go, lift attack. Hold triangle to lift enemy and jump. Hold triangle, then press triangle again for mid-air slam. See, there you go. And I think that'll unlock an artifact that we can pick up. You like how Kain just slides smoothly across the ground? Hold triangle, then press square for mid-air combo. Hold triangle, then press circle for mid-air TK blast attack. One more. Oh, move in a direction and then press X to dodge in combat mode. See, there you go. That's critically important because that lets you avoid certain attacks. Move in a direction, press XX to jump in combat mode. So now we gotta do them all on this one main training dummy here. It's just making sure you know how to play the game. There we go. And we unlocked an artifact for our troubles. There we go. Right up there. The skins are pretty cool. I look forward to trying out some of those later on. They've even got some that are like from concept art from the very first concepts for Kain in his Elder version. There you go. We got another health artifact. Our health is gonna grow. Okay, now where are we heading? I believe we're heading over here. Oh, we got prisoners. You can do a double feed. Both of them at once. Okay, we gotta go up here to break open the bridge. Someone asked why Kain's footsteps sound so much heavier than Raziel. I think it's because Raziel's is a lot lighter. Kain is a lot heavier than Raziel is. Kain's unique abilities: drinking blood, mist form. Superhuman leap. This is kind of goofy looking sometimes, but it's pretty much left over from Blood Omen 2. Which, when you see certain cutscenes, you realize Kain shouldn't actually need it, but still. He's also got a floaty descent. People, I've noticed people overlook that he has this too. And bat flight. And these are his special attacks that you'll gain over the course of the game, but they're all locked. Combat mode, attack types, dodging. Dodging is very important too with some of the enemies that can stun lock you. Finishing moves. Reaver enhancements and spells. Those are very important. TK in combat. TK is actually going to become a lot more important in the temple settings. You're going to encounter statues that are actually very vulnerable to telekinesis, and a lot of people I think don't realize you can use telekinesis effectively against them. They think you have to slash them just with the with the sword, but no, you can actually use TK on them. This really messed this guy up.
Victus.
There's always been an argument about whether he's misspelling Victus or if he's mispronouncing it. It's supposed to sound completely different. Who knows? It's something left over from him in the Blood Omen 1 days. I think it's never gonna get resolved. If they intentionally mistranslated it, or if they're just if they didn't know how to pronounce it properly. I've seen that a couple people streaming don't really take advantage of the Reaver spells. These are one of your primary weapons, so you definitely want to use them, especially later on once we get the better ones like the Lightning and Slow Time. Those are pretty good. Receive Cadaverous Laceration. Executing a quick flurry of sweeping strikes, I am easily able to overwhelm multiple lesser opponents as their blood sprays across the air. Oh hell yeah.
Victus!
There we go, look at that. Okay, so we gotta go over here. Let's see the general map of Nosgoth. Dark Chronicles, statistics. Oh, look at that! It keeps track of everything you've done. That's pretty cool. That's definitely new. Map of Nosgoth or local maps. So the local map is showing you the area where you're supposed to go. Yeah, so this is a map of the place where you're at right now. And then let's see the map of Nosgoth. Okay, and that shows you the whole area. Look at that. All the different locations. There you go. Look at Vorador's Signet ring. That's a cool ring. Yeah, but Dark Chronicles is the cutscenes. There you go. That ought to finish him. Let's break open this barrier. Oh yeah, we're coming for that ass, Mobius. Guard that skinny old ass. Yeah, so this was a great departure from the previous games because Soul Reaver 1 and 2 were almost purely puzzle based. Like Soul Reaver 1 had good combat, very simple but effective. Soul Reaver 2 less so, but they were very heavy on the puzzle solving aspects. This had the puzzle solving take a back seat to the combat. They were trying to emulate DMC type combat, you know, like that particular series, and it didn't quite work as expected. I find it's still good, but it's kind of shallow in some respects. It's not really as good as it could have been. They needed more powers, more abilities, more moves. Like, it was a good start if they wanted to do more combat oriented Legacy of Kain. But I would have preferred they stick with the puzzle solving, and then also try to make more dynamic combat. You know, the best of both worlds, rather than sacrifice one for the other. Is there anything we can pick up here? Nope. Is there anything hidden over here? Nope. Let's destroy the Seraphim's wine crates, baskets. Cause fuck them, right? The Seraphim are scumbags, so we're gonna destroy all their stuff. Not Vord or stuff later on when we go to his house, but we'll destroy the Seraphim stuff. Hold X to tense for long jump. Yeah, this is purely just to reference Blood Omen 2 a bit. You know, it's a bit of an homage to that game. Because if you look at some of the cutscenes, Kain actually doesn't need this leap at all. He can move pretty effectively without it. So that's purely just oh, look at how powerful that telekinesis is. It just breaks apart cavern structures. But yeah, that is purely just to do an homage to Blood Omen 2. He actually doesn't need that leap at all. And some people have said it looks kind of janky. I don't blame them, but there we go. Ooh, camera. Almost made him fall in the water there. Even though, again, that wouldn't have been fatal, but it caused him to dissolve and have to reform from his bat form and respawn earlier in the stage. Alright, we got another health artifact, it seems. The cameras were already looking pretty good in the PS2 graphics. Yeah, so if the volume's a little low in the video, I'll go back and I'll adjust it for the next session. Because it sounds a little low on my end, but I'm not sure how low it sounds on the actual computer, so I gotta take a look at that. Use R2 to manually AMTK. Oh, there we go, there's Mobius with his skinny 3,000-year-old ass. And a certain eyeball symbol, which we'll see a lot more times throughout the game.
Yes, I understand. It will be done. The stage is set. You needn't linger in the shadows, Kain.
He looks great. He looks leathery.
No banter, Mobius. You know why I'm here. Yes, Raziel. You sought to introduce your own pawn into this game. And now he's been swept from the board. By your hand, I suspect. Where is he? Perhaps you should ask, when? How humiliating it must be for you to come begging at my doorstep for answers. Enough wordplay. Don't threaten me. You see, I have the upper hand. How remarkable that the great Kain should succumb to the scepter's power like any common vampire. Still so arrogant after all these years, thinking you've devised some brilliant plan. You know nothing. You have read the signs, but missed their meaning. You believe you are that myth of vampire prophecy, the scion of balance, and that Raziel holds the key to fulfilling your destiny. But your messianic delusions have blinded you to Raziel's true nature. You have no idea what you've unleashed. There was a time when you might have heeded wise counsel when it was offered. Now, your vanity has made you witless. You will have to learn the truth for yourself. You'll be needing this. Your strength will return after I have departed. But by then, you will have more urgent concerns than pursuing me. Perhaps, when we next meet, you will have learned a little humility.
These strange creatures seem to manifest from the very shadows.
Yeah, so they added music to some of the cutscenes that didn't have music before. It's kind of weird sometimes to hear it there when you didn't hear it before. It's a little bit of an adjustment. Here they added the Seraphan theme, which perfectly fits for Mobius, obviously, with him being like an overlord of the Seraphan, but still, it is kind of weird to hear music when before it was just silent. I believe these are kind of like made up of different spiritual energy. They're not fully sentient beings.
Mobius's attempt at stopping me was not one of his better efforts. When I found him, it would be my turn to offer a few surprises.
I wonder what lore they're gonna give to us about those creatures in the special bonus features menu. To challenge the fates.
Surrender, Raziel. Abandon this petty rebellion. It was I who made you. Your life had played out, and in my grace, I spared you. You are my reaper of souls. You have no other purpose, no higher destiny. Just this. Accept your calling, Raziel. Let go of these vain hopes. Relinquish your will and feed.
No.
What do you profit from this defiance?
There's some grim satisfaction in infuriating you.
My patience is eternal, Raziel. How many eons can you bear to languish here? The wheel of fate must turn. All are redeemed in the cleansing agony of birth, death, and rebirth. This is the engine of life, the purifying rhythm of the universe to which all souls are irresistibly drawn. Yours is a necessary and noble function, Raziel.
Enough of your sermonizing. Are you trying to bore me into submission? Why must this game go on? We both know what you are. You are no better than the vampires you so despise. A voracious parasite, cloaking its appetite in a shroud of righteousness. I refuse to do your will.
I can see into your heart, Raziel. It is not your will, but cowardice that keeps you here.
How so?
You know what fate awaits you when you leave the underworld. That phantom weapon you bear is a constant reminder, isn't it? The sword is waiting for you out there somewhere, and you tarry so as not to meet it.
I could not deny it. As long as I lingered here, defying my captor, I was able to postpone what I feared was my inevitable doom. To become the ravenous spirit imprisoned in the Reaver Blade. But that sentence was no worse than the stalemate I now endured. Better to face one's destiny than cower from it.
Harvester of souls, I created you. And to this function, my angel of death, you will return.
Enough. Yes, I submit.
Very good. Indulge your hunger. Yes, embrace your calling, Raziel. You will find that just as defiance has its price, so obedience has its rewards.
And submission is not always what it seems.
So Raziel didn't say that out loud, he thought it in his mind. That's why the Elder didn't call him on it. Like somebody said many years ago, it would have been stupid if he said that right to his face, but he was just thinking that. His eyeball is looking extra nasty now. Looks kind of leathery and like scale, like an octopus or fish scale. He's got eyes everywhere too, even in the walls. I wonder how that works. Now I never really noticed that before. That looks like people embedded in it, or is that supposed to be like his own tentacles? Like is he just that one with the mass of the ground? You can see all the ancient fossils there too. Or are those marks of the octopus tentacles? They look quite different now. They got actual octopus suckers on them. They didn't before. They were just like it almost looked like gravelly type tentacles before. Now it's he's actually got suckers like an actual octopus. It's a lot more like Cthulhu now than it was before. And you see there the emblem also. Right there, that's spectral, that's the sign for spectral. Got our arcane tome. Okay, so now we're gonna play around in a bit with the vision for the spectral realm, or as I saw one person call it lube vision, like Vaseline smeared across the screen, because this was not there before. In the previous two games. Obviously it wasn't in Blood Omen since Kain never went into a spectral realm there, but this was not there before. This was added specifically for Defiance. So let's see I think we might need to go to the next section to get a clearer look at how different it looks. There's also inscriptions on it which says to me that at some point certain people, you can see it there even on the floor, at some point certain people lived here. But who they were, we've never had the answer to that. Okay, this is a perfect vantage point. You see there, it's all blurry. Let's see what we can do to change that. I want to see what's an 8 look like. Okay, so yeah. Spectral distortion. I wonder what happens if you crank it down all the way down. Let's see. Okay, and this is just so this is just basically, oh, it looks nasty here. This is basically just Soul Reaver 2 in 1, the way it looks over there, where it's not the air that's distorted, it's the environment. So we're gonna add a bit more onto it. Let's meet it halfway. Let's just do 5.
Below me swirled an ominous-looking mist. I knew that if I fell, it would mean my peril.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad here. Honestly, I might just end up eliminating the spectral vision outright, just make it regular. So I've heard people say, how can Raziel climb walls now when before the Elder had said that, you know, these insubstantial edifices couldn't support him, that he couldn't dig his claws into the walls in Spectral to climb. You know, either one, the Elder lied, or two, I think Raziel just evolved. Since we know the Elder himself doesn't actually know where Raziel is, I think he just evolved like the Wraiths do, and that's why he can climb them now. It was a natural evolution of his gift. Once he obtained that ability from Zephon to climb the surface, he just kept evolving, and now, since he's been here for millennia pretty much at this point, well, not millennia, he's been here for hundreds of years. I was thinking of the previous time period. But no, he's been here for 500 years, so he's evolved in here. That's why he can slightly climb them.
Do you believe your worthiness is so easily proved? Your way is sealed until you have offered further evidence of your obedience.
I must feed you before I depart this place.
You must feed yourself, Raziel.
The
all
wheel
scaly.
must turn.
Ah, now you understand.
Hold R1 to feed. Look at him holding his tentacles together like he's almost crossing his arms in defiance of Raziel's own defiance. It's like, I'm not letting you go until you give me what I want. How large do you think he is? I think he probably covers much of the world, right? He's got to be at least as big as a continent to be extended through so much of the landmass. So he's probably very, very huge. In order to kill him, someone would have to find probably the central point of wherever he is, which who knows where that could be. Yeah, so what do you think? Does it look better or worse? I think it looks slightly better. There's still some distortion, but yeah, it's not blurry Vaseline type now. Like I said, I might just eliminate it entirely by the end of the game, since that distortion never appeared before. You know, the other games didn't have that, so I might just eliminate it. Just make it clear, so that the only difference between physical and the material is just the blue haze surrounding everything.
You may go, but remember, you are mine. You can no more escape from me than you can escape yourself.
Yeah, whatever, old man. Whatever you say. Yeah, so who carved these drawings for him? It must have been some type of religion or cult that worshipped him before. But we don't know who those are. And we don't even know if he can be killed yet. Oh, here comes the Slua.
You want this room cleared of its vermin.
If you wish to leave it,
Your will be done.
my good servant.
So remember in previous videos I had said, I had a theory on who these guys were, that they were not just scavengers in here. I think it's probably time to discuss it. I think these guys are probably agents of the demons in the other side, the demon dimension where those demons keep coming from. I think these guys might be here to siphon energy, not just for themselves, but also to send it back to something in that place. Not the Hilden, but something else that they're dealing with. Because you notice the demons can actually shift between the spectral material realms with no trouble whatsoever. It's very little difficulty. They just do it in 1 or 2 seconds. So I imagine they have access to this place. So I think these the fact that he hates them so much and he wants them destroyed, and they always keep respawning and popping back over and over again. I don't think these are just natural life forms evolved in this place, in that spectral realm, you know, and predators. That wouldn't make sense, because how could a predator evolve like in the realm between life and death, or like between the physical world and whatever afterlife awaits after that, like this in-between dimension? How could anything evolve there? I think it didn't. I think these guys are actually agents of some demonic force over in the demon dimension where the Hilden were banished. Because also one of the things they said is that had we seen in Dark Prophecy, we would have seen that the Hilden had to make alliances with some of the creatures there. The ones they couldn't subjugate or conquer, they would have had to make alliances with them, which makes me wonder what exactly is hiding in that world that is so powerful. Even the Hilden themselves couldn't deal with it and wipe it out. They have to compromise. So I'm guessing whatever is over there gets fed from these guys. These guys are feeding that thing with very soul they consume. So it's not just pure hunger, you know, just like the other god has his minions. These are minions of something else in the demon realm. Something that is maybe competing with the other god. There you go. Get out of this plane of reality.
Obedience brings prompt rewards.
Sure, whatever you say. Yeah, so I think they're actually agents of some unknown, as of yet, demonic force hiding over in the demon dimension where the Hilden are also banished. But who and what it is, I have no idea. You like how Raziel's feet pitter-patter when he runs across this? Okay, I think we have to fly all the way over there. I think. What look do you like for the other god better? Do you like do you prefer with the suckers attached to his tentacles, or you like the old-fashioned look over there? This does make him look a lot more like an octopus,
Where
or
do
like
you
some
think
Lovecraftian
you're going,
monster.
little soul?
Yeah, so obviously the Elder controls the mist. He controls his entire dimension. So this camera is way, way better than the cinematic camera they had before, but it still has its spots where it gets stuck, just a tad. It's way, way better, much better, but there's still some blind spots here and there, like a few trouble spots that, god damn it, that can get you. Oh, god damn it, the mist got him.
Where do you think you're going, little soul?
Run faster!
Embrace your destiny.
He's just taunting him at this point. He doesn't really think he has a chance to escape from there. Yeah, watch out for that tentacle, that it doesn't hit you at the same time you're crossing that bridge. Otherwise, you just tumble down with it.
You will never escape. I grow tired of this, Raziel.
I got slow motion, trying to make it seem all epic.
Clearly my escape had not been anticipated, or my benevolent master would not have expended such efforts to prevent me from going. And if my departure displeased him, then that was a victory, however small, for me.
Yeah, so where is this place then located, physically?
In the spectral realm, water is as thin as air, putting this opening far beyond my reach. But once I found my way into the physical world, I might be able to swim up there.
Yeah, so like obviously the underworld is part of this area, but where physically is this located? Does the map tell you? So we got a local map. What about the map of Nosgoth? Where are we? Okay, so we're over here, down by this area. The cemetery. The antique burial ground of a forgotten race. This sprawling cemetery has long since been claimed by humankind, and even now vampire hunters freely congregate here, daring to tread upon graves and disturb the peace in hopes of finding prey lurking among the tombstone. Generations of Nosgoth's dead repose here, corpses layered and compounded atop one another. The most ancient architecture, subtle and obscured amidst the mausoleums erected by humans, is apparently dedicated to the worship of darkness and light. Mass graves, crypts, and tombs of servants, noble kings, and noble kings alike are present in this place, all equal together now in death. Oh, look at that, we got the Seraphine's stronghold, the underworld. The headquarters of the Seraphine Crusade, the stronghold was built on a promontory adjacent to the Great Southern Lake. Within the confines of this monastic fortress, the Seraphine warrior priests live and train, and Mobius the Time Streamer guides and directs their actions. While Spartan and austere, the architecture of the stronghold also celebrates the exploits of the Seraphine, glorified as near-angelic savior figures. Their prey, the vampires, are naturally demonized as mindless monsters. Their surrounding water and escalable edifice defends the stronghold from vampire attack. This is close to the height of the Seraphine Crusade, and the stronghold is in its glory. The Underworld. In the arcane rooms at the stronghold's lowest level, a spectral exit leads to a complex of ancient caverns lying directly beneath the stronghold's foundation. The mass of the Other God, whose influence spreads throughout Nosgoth, is spread across this vast subterranean space. In the areas nearest the surface, primitive human architecture is also present. Crude temples and stones carved with imagery dedicated to the Other God's worship. As the caverns extend and descend, these human structures become less prolific. The journey through these seemingly endless abyssal depths is a long trial, hounded by the frightening denizens of the spectral plane. Yeah, it does make you wonder who were the first people to worship that god, supposedly, as he calls himself. Like, were they humans? Well, obviously, besides we'll learn much later. We'll learn some stuff much later on, but basically, who left some of those structures there that are scattered around Nosgoth, especially in Soul Reaver 2. What happened to them?
This door would only open when fitted with an appropriate artifact. But to use such an object, I would first have to find a way back into the material realm.
Alright, let's go do that then. I don't think there's anything else we need to collect from this place. Oh yeah, these tentacles these are also summoned by the Other God. They're not part of him, but he can summon them from other dimensions. Trying to hold back Raziel from escaping. Notice how they bleed red even in Spectral. So that implies there are very much living creatures that can manifest anywhere, not just in the Spectral realm. Raziel's unique abilities, devouring souls. In the spirit world, his health only declines when he is wounded by spectral enemies. So obviously, before the spectral realm used to replenish your energy, it's obvious now the Other God kind of took that little bonus away. So it's not just a gameplay mechanic, at least not intentionally. The Other God definitely messed with the spectral realm to prevent Raziel from gathering his energy. A shadowy underworld populated by nightmarish creatures and lost souls. So this is not the final destination of their souls in this universe. There probably is another afterlife. This is just a layer between that. Once in the physical world, Raziel transformed to host flesh into his own image. Yeah, so that's spoiling a bit how he's gonna return back to the material realm. Gliding. Raziel can no longer fly, but he can use his roaring wings to glide across otherwise impassable gaps. Passing through barriers. In the spectral realm, Raziel can dematerialize to pass through permeable barriers like gates and fences, which are impenetrable to him in the physical world. Swimming. Water has no buoyancy, but in the material realm, Raziel can swim through flooded areas to reach otherwise inaccessible goals. Alright. Looks like we're up to date on everything for now. Oh, I wanted to see if they had the entry on the monsters.
Spectral Reaver.
Chain humans. Yeah, these descriptions were not in the original Defiance. They've been added exclusively for this game. I think they're pretty cool, giving you background and insight into a lot of the objects and stuff you encountered throughout the game world. Introduced Blood Rome in Legacy of Kain, 1996. Chain humans are the pitiful victims of any number of malign causes of creatures. At one time they lived normal lives among their brethren, yet through great misfortune now lie helpless at the whim of their captors. Whether under the hold of a vampire, the Cenobites, or normal yet nefarious humans, they serve only one purpose: as cattle. Raziel and Kain can use these helpless humans as fodder to feed their insatiable hungers for blood or soul. However, their long imprisonment has left their languished bodies and weakened minds vulnerable to demonic possession. So they can be taken over fairly quickly. Sarafan Crusaders, Sarafan Archers. The lowest ranking Sarafan initiates fight with a two-handed polearm. They are rank-and-file warriors who serve their masters faithfully and aspire to one day rise to the rank of Templar or Inquisitor. That is not going to happen because the Inquisitors are all dead at this point. Sarafan Archers. The Sarafan Archer fights from the rear ranks of a group of Sarafan warriors. They employ burning arrows, causing great pain to their vampire enemies from a distance. Yeah, all the Inquisitors got wiped out, including Raziel himself, along with his brothers. So we got the Lesser Shades. This is a lesser and smaller form of Shade, yet still a formidable opponent. Though less aggressive than their larger counterparts, they still attack with reckless abandon. As they are fairly newly formed, they do not have the same power over the surrounding shadows as the greater Shade does, but can instead manipulate their own shadow bodies with devastating effect. Oh, I thought I was going to say what they were. Timeline? Let's check out the timeline. Oh, okay, so this is going over the events of each game, pretty much.
At last, I discovered a conduit into the material realm. I would finally escape the spirit world and take one step farther from my tormentor.
Did you think to receive the same favors after your rebellion as before? No, Raziel. I have no need for you to enter the physical world, so no conduit will be granted. You serve me adequately as a wraith, and a wraith you will remain.
So, my restraints had not been removed, only loosened. I would not be held prisoner in the spectral realm. There had to be another way.
Some people have pointed out that if he had just stepped into the portal, instead of just standing there like an idiot monologuing, he would have been able to take advantage of it. He just waited too long. Oh, Raziel. Raziel does not do the common sense thing a lot of times, and he doesn't listen to anyone. He does his own thing. Yeah, I thought they were gonna give us info on what the shades actually are, but I guess they explained that in Soul Reaver 2. Yeah, you notice the difference in blue also? It's a lot more blue in the original game, kind of referencing how blue it was in Soul Reaver 1 and 2. It's more like aqua blue now. I also noticed they changed that design of Raziel's ribs sticking out there, those two ribs. I always thought that looked odd because he never had that in Soul Reaver 1 or 2. That was added purely for this game here. I'm glad to see they changed it back to a more standard looking form. Moving to bars to pass to the Spectral Realm. They also changed that. He no longer glides across, he just steps into it. Like he's cautiously stepping into like a hole or something. Before he would just glide across in a T-pose. After getting that gift from Melchiah.
As I emerged, I was granted a vision of what I would become if I did not escape the Spectral Realm. For these too were agents of my master, hunting the lost souls that struggled to escape the endless twilight of the underworld.
That's a good way to describe it, the endless twilight of the underworld. Yeah, so the crustaceans work for the Elder God. He summoned the crabs. And they have tentacles too. Wonder if they're like his children.
My master's plan for me was ominously clear. Like these mindless hunters, I existed only to fuel him with souls, siphoning their energy to feed him and his wheel of fate. I had to break these bonds while I still possessed my own will.
Alright, there we go. We're back with Kain to face one's destiny. As soon as we reach the next save point, we're gonna save it. That's gonna be it for tonight. Oh, we got more shades. Yeah, let's kill these guys. You gotta take advantage of the TK when you're fighting them too. It makes it a lot easier than just trying to cut them all down with the sword. There we go. So I think we'll go over to the next checkpoint, because if we start there, we're gonna have to kill all those guys all over again. So let's just put the emblem here.
This artifact seemed as though it was made for that unusual lock. Now the door could be opened.
Falcom insignia. Emblematic of the Seraph and the sponsors, this insignia seems to follow wherever Mobius and his henchmen rear their heads. I recalled it most acutely from my travails with the Nemesis. What of Mobius' diversions lost to memory? Perhaps it may open the way to tracking him down and extracting the answers I require. Isn't that kind of messed up how that guy destroyed so much of Nosgoth, and yet the only person who remembers him now is Kain, because that old history got wiped out, so nobody else knows the Nemesis even existed besides Kain and his fellow vampires that he created. He'd have a hell of a hard time definitely proving it to humans if he ever had to do so. You know, Kain alone now knows the true history of Nosgoth. Nobody else is left. Besides Mobius, of course. He knows everything, but among the general population, besides him, Kain is the only one who knows how things went before and how things used to be. More wraiths. Are those the guys we killed or not? Because why is that guy leaning there with his ass up in the air like that? What is he doing? Is he praying when he died? What the hell is he doing? Or are those the same guys we killed or not? Or were they killed by those wraith things? I think they were killed by the shades, right? Because I don't believe there were guards here before. They were just prisoners and we wiped them all out. So there are 13 chapters in all in Defiance. I thought about doing one chapter each per video, but like we did for Blood Omen, or tried to do for Blood Omen, but no, then we'd end up with 13 videos, or maybe even longer, depending on how long the chapters are. So I think it's best to just try to aim for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, regardless. You know, however long the chapters are, let's try to squeeze in 2 or maybe even 3 per video, depending on how long they take. Oh, that's a checkpoint. I'm used to the checkpoints being only the ones with the logo on them, with Kain's emblem. Let's get some blood. That's a cool effect right there, phasing through the gates using mist form. That was always one of the cooler abilities he had in Blood Omen 1. And I guess with the stealth kills in Blood Omen 2, although even there he could only use it for stealth kills, he could not use mist form ordinarily. You know, you could only use it for stealth kills. I was afraid the light was gonna go out because it was raining heavily earlier on, but it seems to have calmed down, thankfully. Is there anything in here? Nope. I like that it's automatic too. Like I say, you don't have to activate it with any button or anything the way you did in those other previous games, Blood Omen and Blood Omen 2. It's automatic, so I like that they incorporated it. They incorporated it into the gameplay, but made it automatic so that you don't have to activate it every single time. All right, there we go. I think we're reaching a checkpoint soon. We got the Axemen. And some of them have daggers too.
Hey, Victor!
Damn, look at that. Look at that combo. Let's grab this guy while he's at it. The combat here is fun, even though it can get a little repetitive in later stages. It is fun, but I do wish, like I said, they'd had stronger puzzles in addition to the combat, not just combat by itself, you know. Kain also could have benefited from a block system. You know, just put a block button in there. Maybe not a parry system, because I hate parry in video games. And what sucks too is that latest 2D Legacy of Kain game also has parry, because, you know, everybody's doing parry now. Dark Souls games do it. Spider-Man 2 did it. You know, Stellar Blade does it. So everybody has to have a freaking parry in a game nowadays. Everybody. So that kind of sucks. I'm hoping it's not too bad. It should be easier since it's 2D. They're not gonna make it that difficult for you. You know, it's not gonna be a freaking extreme mode on Dark Souls 3 or anything like that. You know, those Soulsborne games that are fairly difficult, like Bloodborne. It's not gonna be that, but I just hate the fact that almost every single developer And every other game has to go, oh, you know what, we should put in a parry system because everybody else in the damn world is using parry. Come on, man. Make your own style of gameplay, you know, use blocks and dodges and stuff like that. That's more fitting. Like, not every single freaking video game under the sun has to have a freaking parry system. It sucks that even Legacy of Kain is doing that now. Like, everybody and their mother is doing a freaking parry system. I guess we just have to get used to it. Alright, there we go. We saved. Oh, that is, yeah, let's take a... we were too late. I was going to take a photo of Kain with that thinking pose there, but I was too late. Alright, so we did a fair amount of progress so far. We got to the first 2 chapters, one for Kain, one for Raziel. We're on chapter 3 now, which is for Kain. I don't think this chapter is too long. We mainly just have to go up to the tower near the top of the stronghold and track down Mobius, so that takes a while, but it's not too bad in terms of length. I've noticed some people prefer playing as Raziel because he does get more puzzles and stuff. I kind of prefer Kain in this game. Obviously, since we hadn't played him since Blood Omen 2. Well, technically, we hadn't played him since Blood Omen 1 because Blood Omen 2 was a very subpar experience, so we hadn't properly played Kain since the first game in the series. I was eager to see what he could do. I actually like his combat system here. I do wish he had more powers, more abilities like the lightning bolts, the energy bolts, stuff like that from before, like from previous games like Blood Omen 1 or Soul Reaver 1, but it's still fun to play. I do appreciate some of the puzzles Raziel has to solve with the different Reavers. I do appreciate that aspect of it, and the fact they also brought back abilities for Raziel and the Reavers that have been cut out from Soul Reaver 2 because there wasn't enough time. So I appreciate that all that stuff got put back into the games, but I actually do like playing as Kain in this particular game. It's it has a very heavy combat feel that it feels right for his character. Like I said, I just wish he had a little more puzzle solving to go along with it, because as simple as they were, you did have to solve some puzzles even in Blood Omen 1. So I do wish there was more of that in the game. Other than that, the game looks fine so far. Like I said, I kind of prefer Kain's old appearance. He looks a bit beefy here, but it's his face that I think really suffered. Yeah, it's not drastically different, you could see. Just like a lighter skin tone change, and he looks slimmer here. Like, look at that, his pants are like freaking Urkel waist high up here, like the pants Urkel wore in Family Matters, which is a strange comparison, but I think it fits. It's definitely hugging his torso there, way above his waist. This one looks a lot smoother. It looks a lot more fitting, but at the same time, I don't quite like his face. Like, yeah, I do agree the eyes do glow a bit too much. They're not that yellow, you know, they're not supposed to be quite that shade of yellow, and he does look like he's scowling, whereas before I think his face has a more facial movement before. But either way, he looks good. Like, whether you prefer the OG version like I do, or you prefer this version, he still looks good either way. So, you know, maybe not great, but he definitely looks respectable. So they did a much better job here with some aspects than they did in Soul Reaver 2, because like Mobius is another one. Mobius looks pretty damn good here in the new graphics. Like, he looked way too thick in Soul Reaver 2 Remastered. He was like, this guy's supposed to be like 3,000 years old. He's supposed to be a skinny old man. He's not supposed to be that chunky and healthy looking, you know? I got what the complaints were about that. Like, before I'd played the game, I'd seen people complaining. God damn it, every time he does that pose, I go for the camera button to try to get it, and because this has a 3-second delay, it seems, unlike the camera in the PS5 system, it always ends up missing its pose. That sucks. We'd probably have to pause it like this and then activate the camera and then unpause it to get it. But yeah, like I was saying, Mobius didn't look quite right in that one. Even though Raziel and Janos looked spectacular, I think Ariel looked fine too, but Mobius was the one guy, he didn't look quite right in that version. Kain just had a slight issue with his eyes, looking like they were kind of bugging out according to some people, but yeah, he still looked good in Soul Reaver 2. Mobius his appearance suffered in that game, so I'm glad they corrected it here, and he does look like a skinny, frail but nonetheless strong old man who's been alive, you know, for anywhere between like 3,000 and 5,000 years. He does look, you know, a lot more aged now than he did before in the new Soul Reaver 2 graphics. So kudos to them for that. Good job on them for making Mobius seem a lot more like his previous Blood Omen 1 and original Soul Reaver 2 self. He looks good. The other god, like I said, he looks good either way. I think it's a preference whether you prefer the old style of tentacles he had or the new one that makes it look a lot more like an octopus. But it's up to your personal preference. And of course, the settings all look good. They look great. They've been beautifully restored. So you can see they already look good in Defiance. Even in today's graphics, they still look good. But with the modern update, they look even better now. So overall, they did a good job on this remaster so far. We're going to see a lot more differences as the game goes on, but overall in this early part of the game they did a wonderful job restoring it and making it look all beautiful and stuff. So I'll give them credit for that. So next time when we come back, we're going to continue on with Kain's chapter and try to track down Mobius, and hopefully we get some of the skins, because I really want to show off the different skins for Kain and Raziel, especially the OG Kain skin that you get with the iron armor. That one looks cool as hell in this version, so I want to show that off. And you even get human Kain too. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time on Legacy of Kain Defiance Remastered on the PS4. See you later, everyone.